In the world of politics, it really does matter if you win or if you lose. Well, who were the big winners and losers on the political spectrum in Canada in 2023? Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra, and with those picks are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Brian, there is a long list of people to pick from on both sides, those who won and those who, lose. But let's start with your first political winner of 2023.
Well, I know some of Warren's picks, so I'm going to go in a different direction. Instead of national, I'm going to go provincial and say Doug Ford, because Doug Ford had what looked like a horrible year at certain points. And now he's finishing off 2023, despite a greenbelt scandal that looked like it was going to really hurt his government, that had support plummeting for both the premier and his party, despite losing two cabinet ministers and a chief of staff to one of those ministers. He's out on top. He's well out ahead and would win a majority government if it happened today. He did that by reversing policies, some of which I think it was a mistake for him to reverse, but it got him the political support and the political goodwill to continue on. And so on that front, I would have to say Doug Ford definitely a winner in 2023.
All right, Warren, your choice for winner might make our viewers' heads explode, but I think you've got some interesting rationale for it.
Well, it's going to explode, make progressive heads explode. I think the winners of the year politically are Pierre Poilievre and Donald Trump. Like, the conservative movement, the conservative ideology is on the rise everywhere, not just in North America, but also in Europe. And I think, as you guys know, full disclosure, I campaigned against Donald Trump. I worked for Biden. I worked for Clinton. I think he's an asshole, but, he's beating Joe Biden right now. And Biden's presiding over an economy that's surging with full employment. So, Trump, it doesn't even show up to the Republican debates, presidential candidate debates, and he's still ahead by at least 20 points. So, he is a winner, and Poilievre the same thing. He hasn't had to put together a single policy, really, other than what he said about housing, which was quite good. And he's dramatically ahead of Justin Trudeau. So I would say those two guys are winners. That's right now, maybe a different story next year.
All right, Brian, let's cast our gaze because we are capable of looking outside of the province of Ontario. And you have another choice for your winner, which I think a lot of people would agree with.
Danielle Smith. And for the same reasons, there were times this year where Danielle Smith looked like she was struggling, including before the election. There was a point where it looked like it was going to be the return of Rachel Notley and the NDP government in the conservative bastion of Alberta. If you think Alberta is a conservative bastion, it just tells me that you haven't been there. Alberta is a lot more diverse than people think, politically and in all ways. And so Smith had to find a way to appeal to not just her base, but a wider swath of voters. And before the campaign really kicked in, she was still trying to relitigate COVID. When she made a shift and said, I'm going to talk about the issues that matter to Albertans right now, affordability, healthcare, running a good provincial government, all of a sudden people are like, okay, we'll take you, we'll leave you in office instead of going back to Notley. And she won. Then she had some things that look like missteps along the way, but she's found the right balance, I think, in when to pick fights with Ottawa, when not to, what to push for, what not to push for. She's allegedly pushing for an Alberta pension plan, but she also knows it's not popular. So she's kind of pushing with one hand while leaning backwards away from the issue. So she's turned out to, much like Ford, surprise people and be a political winner at the end of 2023.
All right, Warren, your next winner for 2023 is a winner with a W, but also an L for a loser. Kind of can go in both categories, couldn't he?
Can I cheat and give you two? So I think,
sure.
This one's going to make people's heads explode. I think Trudeau is a winner because he's just still alive. Like, he holds on to his somehow incredibly, and I write about it in our paper this weekend. Like, he holds on to his 25%. He's like the worst prime minister in the history of the world, and he holds on to 25%. So, in politics, if you're still standing, you're a winner. But I do agree with what Brian said earlier about Doug Ford. And full disclosure, my firm has done, communications work for Dalton McGuinty's government. We've done it for Doug Ford's government. And Ford he's got that Ralph Klein, Jean Chrétien, René Lévesque, Mel Lastman thing, right? A regular schmo, and you can picture yourself having a beer with him and so on. But you look at the year he had, as Brian pointed out, he has reversed himself on the Greenbelt. He's reversed himself on these ministerial zoning orders. Now he's reversed himself on dissolution of municipalities, regional government within the GTA. And without getting into the details, because a lot of people outside of Ontario aren't going to care, but he's in the case of the Greenbelt, he did something I've never seen a politician do before. He stood up before a microphone and he didn't just say, I'm changing my mind. They do that all the time. He said, I broke a promise to you. I have never heard a politician say that before. Not only did it work, because when he said it, I was like, holy smokes, he's going to get himself in trouble. He took a 20-point lead over the Ontario Liberals and the Ontario NDP. That's somebody who's developed a connection to the voting public, and I think that's somebody who's a winner.
All right, Brian, give us your losers of 2023.
I'm going to go very local, but it's a story that did resonate across the country. And I'm going to say John Tory, because John Tory started out the year as mayor, and he ended up resigning in a scandal that may not have been a scandal. The puritanical star, writing stories about his personal life. He leaves office, and now we have Olivia Chow, who isn't as radical as people think, but still is doing things that, we're pulling our hair out over, like renaming Dundas subway station and Dundas Square. But she was able to get the deal that John Tory wanted from Doug Ford for years and couldn't get. So that's why Tory is in the L camp today. I hope he's doing well. He's engaged in other matters now, but he'd still be mayor, or should have been, if he'd made better decisions.
And to you, Warren Kinsella, from your perspective, who lost 2023?
It's not just one person, it's a bunch of them. And it's the woke team, the team woke. Yeah. And there's some crossover. You do a Venn diagram, they connect to the team Hamas as well. Whether it's the mayor of Moncton or the mayor of Calgary most recently, the woke stuff, I don't mind people having an awareness of racism and intolerance and the need to have a better society. That is actually kind of the definition of woke. The problem is these people are just pious jerks where they're trying to control everybody else's life. And, the woke thing really has, my jury was out at first. I now believe they have gone too far. Right. And it's just ridiculous. And we're seeing it now manifest itself in the context of the conflict in the Middle East. 3 university presidents, 3 of the most prestigious universities in the world, in the history of the world, not able to say that calling for the genocide of Jews is wrong. At that point, guys, we've got to start over. And I think in academia and all kinds of other fronts in society, we're going to have to start over because this woke stuff's gone too far.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Who are the winners and losers of 2023? And go to the TorontoSun.com and hit that subscribe button. You're going to find commentary and coverage there that you will not